So welcome to week 1. We're going to talk about linear equation and quadratic equation. These are the basics for solving algebra. So we're going to solve linear equation, quadratic equation, then you're going to build on functions and equation of line, equation of Paravio, and so on. So the first one we're going to do is solving equation. So what is equation? We have equal sign in the middle. That's what is important. You have equal sign, so you have one side equals to the other side. So you have equal in the middle, which means you have a balance. So whatever you do in the left side, you're going to do the same in the right side. Okay, that's equation. And the goal of solving the equation is to get x equals what? So that's how your answer is going to look like. X is equal a number. Okay? So how are you going to solve it? So these are the steps. The first step is you're going to get x in the same side. I'm writing the steps here. So you're going to move all the x's in the same side. The next step is going to be, you're going to get the numbers. So this is the symbol for number. It's not hashtag, it's numbers on the other side. Other means if x is in the left, the numbers are going to be in the right. If the x is in the right, the numbers are going to be in the left side. Always have to be in opposite side of the equal sign. And then the last step is divide by the number in front of x. And when you divide by the number in front of x, you're going to get x equals something. Okay? So these are pretty much the steps. Now, let's see how you do it, how you move from side to side. You always do opposite. So I have 5x, so let's focus on the x's here. 5x and 4x. These are the x's in opposite side, right? Opposite side of the equals. So I want to move them together. Now, you can move 4x next to 5x, or you can move 5x next to 4x. Doesn't matter. Usually, if you want to stick with one side, it's easier that way, or doesn't matter. Some people move the smaller to the bigger. That doesn't matter, just pick it, move it in one side. So I'm gonna move everything, all the x's to the right side, to the left side. So I'm gonna move 4x, so I'm gonna subtract 4x. I'm gonna do opposite. This is positive 4x, so that's why you have to do negative 4x. So I'm gonna subtract 4x in both sides. So minus 4x, and you have to do it in both sides because it's a balance. You have equals in the middle, which means you have to keep the balance, right? So if I subtract 4x in one side, I have to subtract 4x in the other side. And then you're going to combine what is left. So 5x, you combine in like terms. 5x minus 4x is what? 1x. So when you combine like terms, you add x with x, number with number. And then you're going to bring down, what was that, plus or minus? Let me see, plus 2. You're going to bring down plus 2. And then you have the equals. And then 4x minus 4x is 0. They cancel out. That's why you do opposite, so you can move it. It's going to cancel. And then what is left? Just the number 7. Okay? So that was the first step. Any questions here?
Yes, ma'am. I was confused when you said that you moved the 5x and the 4x to the same side, and then how you got to subtracting 4x from each side. I guess I missed the step between there.
No, there is no step. That's the step. You have to move 5x and 4x in the same side. And in order to move the 4x, I have to subtract 4x to move it.
Okay. That's what I was misunderstanding.
Yes.
I thought you meant that you put it side by side and then, okay. So,
no. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So you want to move everything, all the x's in the same side, and you move one of those. If they're in opposite sides, you move one of those. And if you want to move it, you do opposite. If it's positive 4x, you're going to subtract 4x. If it's minus, you're going to add. Always opposite. Okay? Then you're going to go to the next step where you're going to look at the numbers. You have number 2 and number 7, they're in opposite sides. So now the x's are in the left side, so that means which number I'm going to move. Do I need to move 2 or I need to move 7?
Move the 2.
Move the 2, that's right, you're going to move the 2. Now, it's a plus 2, so you're going to subtract 2, right? You're going to subtract 2 in both sides. And then you're going to combine what is left. See, 2 minus 2 cancel. So what is left? 1x equals 7 minus 2 is 5. Now, that's second step. Any questions here? And then the last step is divide by the number in front of x. Now, in front of x is already 1x, so you don't need to do that step. Like if this was like 3x equals 5, you're going to divide by 3. Because when you divide 3 by 3, it's going to give you 1x. That's what you want to get. You want to get 1x. But this is already 1x, so we're done. We solve it. We get x equals 5. So that's my answer. So you're going to put here x equals 5. That's my solution. Okay? So that's how you solve equations. Everybody understand this?
Dr. Ehrenboy, I have one more question.
Yes.
So in order to get the minus 4x, the plus symbol that we're working with, we switch it to find the solution?
We switch it to move it from side to side, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay.
Question.
Everybody? Yes.
You're recording this, right? Where will we be able to see this?
I'm recording this and I'll show you in lecture 1. I'll show you when I'm done. I'm recording it, yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so that's how you solve the linear equation. And now we need to classify the equation. Is it identity, contradiction, or conditional? So if you solve it, if you get x equals something, then it's a conditional equation. Okay, so that's my answer here. It's a conditional. Now the equation, it's identity. I'm gonna write here. So if you have x equals number, it's a conditional. If you solve it and you get x equals something, it's a conditional. Equation is identity when you solve it and when x cancel out in both sides, there's no x left, and you get 0 equals 0. It's true. Okay? And I'll give you example. So if you get 0 equals 0, that's identity. Equation is contradiction when have no solution. So this is no solution, technically. And you get no solution when x cancel also out, and you get 0 equals something else. 0 equals number. So if you get 0 equals number, it's a no solution, and the equation is contradiction. Okay? And I'll give you example of identity or contradiction. Okay? But this equation number 1 we solve, it's a conditional. So let me show you real quick one example where the equation is going to be identity or contradiction. So for example, if I have to solve 2x, I'm just making another example, 2x minus 3 equals 2x plus 5. So when I solve this, see, these are my two sides, right? I'm going to look at my two sides, and I'm going to look at the x's. I have 2x and I have 2x. So I'm going to subtract 2x, right? In both sides. And when I do that, all the x's are going to cancel. 2x minus 2x is 0, right? So there's no more x left. What is left? You have to see what is left. Negative 3 equals 5, right? So when x cancel out, This equation is identity or contradiction. How you know what it is? I need to move the numbers. I mean, technically, if you get two the same numbers, then it's identity. If you have two different numbers, it's contradiction. Technically here I can add 3 in both sides if you want to move the numbers in the same side. So this cancel, so you get 0 equals 8. So when you get 0 equals 8, what is it? Contradiction or identity?
A contradiction.
Yes, it's no solution or contradiction. Everybody understand that? So if you get 0 equals 0, it's going to be identity. Okay? So these are the type of equations. Linear equation, there are 3 types of linear equations: identity, contradiction, or conditional. Okay? So now we're moving to number 2. Oops. We're going to solve more equations like this. We're going to solve equations. So linear equation, next one, we're going to solve it. We're going to follow the 3 steps. We're going to move x's in the same side. See, this is the equal here in the middle. Now, x is already in the same side, right? So what you need to do, you need to move the numbers. You have -5 and you have +10. So which number are you going to move?
Number 5.
5. What you're going to do to move it? You're going to add or
it.
subtract?
Add it.
Add it. That's right. You're going to add 5. Good job. Because it's a -5, you're going to do +5. And 5 and -5 cancel. So we have x over 2 equals 15, right? Okay. Then the last step here is divide by the number in front of x. What is in front of x?
1.
It's 1 over 2. That's the number in front of x. 1/2 is connected to x, right? So 1/2 is the number in front of x. So here technically you have to divide by 1/2, right? Now, how you divide by fractions? You multiply by reciprocal. So dividing by 1/2 means multiplying by 2. Okay? So dividing by 1/2 is the same equals to multiplying by 2. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply by 2 times 2 and times 2. Okay? See, when I multiply by 2, 2 times 1/2 is what?
1.
1x, that's right, equals 15 times 2 is 30. So that's what you get, x equals 30. Everybody understand that?
Yep.
Okay, going to number 3.
Yes.
Yes, okay, number 3. We're going to do another equation where you're going to solve it, but you have parentheses here. Now, the equations, this equation has square, looks like quadratic. So the equation with square is a quadratic. The equation with x and number, it's a linear. We're solving linear equation right now. This one looks quadratic, but when you solve it, you're going to see you're going to get linear also. So how you solve it? You're going to do the parentheses first. So here we have a plus 5, a minus 5. So we have to FOIL, we have to multiply. And this is how you do, I'm going to do it in the side. We're going to do, oops, sorry. Let's see. So I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply a minus 5, a plus 5, a minus 5. So we're going to multiply this. And this is how you do it. You're going to do FOIL. The method is called FOIL. F-O-I-L. F stands for the first and first. That's your F. So multiplying 8 times 8 is what? What is 8 times 8?
A squared.
A squared. Okay. Then you're going to do the O is for the outsides. That's O. So multiplying 8 times -5 is -5a. Okay. Then after that, you're going to do the inside. That's the I stand for I. the inside. So what is 5 times 8 is plus 5a. Okay? And then we're going to do L, which stands for the last. So we're doing 5 and negative 5 is the L. So 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Okay? So when I do that, when I multiply, I'm going to get a squared minus 5a plus 5a minus 25. And you can combine those, right? 5a and minus 5a, they're canceling out. So when I FOIL this, I'm going to get a squared minus 25, right? Okay? So we have, we FOIL this, and we got a plus 5a minus 5 give me a squared minus 25. And then I'm just going to bring down the whole equation. I have a squared in front and plus 25 in the end, right? So this is how my equation looks like. Now, what you're doing next, we're going to move the letters in one side, the x's, in this case is a, and the numbers in the other side. The numbers actually already cancel out, right? This and this cancel. 25 minus 25 is 0. So I'm going to subtract the a squared in both sides to move it together in the same side. So everything cancel out, so we get 0 equals 0, right?
Correct.
So when you get 0 equals 0, what that means?
Identity.
It's the equation is identity. And identity means, now here we're not going to put x equals identity, because the identity, conditional, and contradiction is the type of equation. So the solution of this equation is going to be all real numbers. Okay? So the equation is identity because it's always true. 0 is always 0 equals 0, right? It's always true. So the solution is any number for x, for a in this case, is going to be a solution. So that means the solution is all real numbers. So all real numbers are solutions. And here you're just going to type, that's what web assigned asks you to do. You're going to type reals. Like that. Okay? Any questions?
When it's identity, that's the only time it's reals.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, everybody understand that? Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, going to number 4. Number 4, it's a little different, but we're still going to solve equation. So now you're going to see that there are a lot of problems we're going to solve where it doesn't say solve the equation, but you're going to solve equation actually. So for number 4 and number 5 and the rest of it, you're going to, you know what, let's finish with the enter reals. That's what it says here. Okay, so we're going to, let's do 4 and then you can continue. So number 4, it doesn't say solve the equation, it says state any restrictions. Okay? So when you find restrictions of this equation, you always have restrictions when you have fraction and when you have square root. And you're going to, when you talk about functions, we're going to talk about restrictions in the domain of the function, which is pretty much the same finding the restrictions. So what that means, we have a fraction. Fraction equals 6x, right? We're not solving it. We need to find what are the restrictions for x. So now, think about fraction. What is fraction? What fraction means?
It's an item divided by another.
Divided, that's right. So dividing. So fraction means division. Can you divide by any number?
As long as it's given, yes.
Okay, can you divide by negative number?
Sure.
Can you divide by 0?
No.
No.
No. Division by 0 is undefined. So that's the problem. That's the restriction with fraction. You cannot have 0 in the bottom. You cannot divide by 0. So if you notice here, the sign is not equal. Okay? So that's what you need to do. You need to take the bottom of the fraction and you need to solve it not equal 0. And that's going to be the restriction. Okay? Because the bottom of the fraction cannot be 0. You can have anything else in the bottom, but not 0. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay? So that's how you do it. You just solve this equation. You technically solve an equation, but it doesn't say solve the equation. Okay? So we're going to just solve it the same way. You're going to add 10 in both sides, right? You're going to move the 10 in both sides, the numbers in the other side, because x is already in one side. And then you're going to divide by the number in front of x. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And you're going to get x is not equal 5. So that's my restriction. So you can have any number for x but 5. Okay? Any questions?
Mm.
So I have a question. What kind of equation is this? Is this identity, contradiction, or the other one? Conditional.
Okay. We're not solving it. We're not solving it, so it doesn't matter what it is. And they don't ask what it is. If you solve it, then you can, after you solve it, you can see what it is, but you're not solving this. Okay?
Thank
You
you.
can solve it and you can see what it is, but they don't ask you to do that. Okay? Got it?
Mm.
Yes? Okay. Okay, so we're going to number 5 where it says solve the equation. So that's where you're going to solve it. Okay? So how are you going to solve it? You're going to do the parentheses, right? Here you go. So you're going to do the parentheses. You're going to multiply x times x times 10, and then in this side you have x plus 5 squared. X plus 5 squared is actually x plus 5 times x plus 5. Make sure you do that. You have to FOIL this. It's not just x squared and 5 squared. You're going to represent, you're going to change x plus 5 squared. It's x plus 5, x plus 5. You have to multiply 2 times. And you have to FOIL x times x times 5, 5 times x, 5 times 5, okay? That's how you do that, okay? So let's start with x times x. The left side is x times x is x squared. And x times 10 is what? 10x equals. And then you're going to start to FOIL. X times x is x squared. And then plus x times 5 is 5x. And then 5 times x is another 5x. And 5 times 5 is plus 25. Okay, so far so good?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Then from here, we're going to move the x's in the same side. So we're going to subtract x squared. Let's start with x squared first. And they cancel out. So this equation, you see this one and the one before we solved with a squared. This equation looks quadratic because you have squared, but it's actually a linear equation. Linear means you have only x and numbers, and quadratic have x squared. Okay? So after you start moving it side to side, the square is gone. It's not quadratic, it's a linear equation. And then let's see what is left. We have 10x equals, you can add 5x plus 5x is 10x plus 25. And then you're going to subtract 10x in both sides to move it, right? So what is left?
25.
25 equals what?
0.
0.
That's right. So we get 0 equals 25. So what is that?
Contradiction.
The equation is contradiction, but what is the solution?
No solution.
That's right.
Solution.
You're going to put no solution. And it says here, oh, if all real numbers are solution, enter reals. If there is no solution, enter no solution. So that's what you're going to type it in here. No solution. Okay? Any questions?
I don't know where the 25 came from.
Because you multiply 5 times 5. You see, we're doing for you.
Okay, so, but what it confused me is that you got the 5x plus 5x plus 25. So
You're for you, you're multiplying.
okay, move on. I don't get it, but I tried to review it.
Okay, so let me, okay, no problem. I can just stop here, pause for a minute. I'm gonna just show you how to FOIL. Let's go over that. Probably somebody else is wondering how to get x plus 5, x plus 5, how you FOIL. So I'm gonna write it here. So you're doing x plus 5 and x plus 5, right? So this is how you FOIL. You can do it the way I show you, the first, the outside, the inside, or you can do this, x times everything and 5 times everything. So I'm going to rewrite it, x times x plus 5. So I'm multiplying x times this and plus 5 times the same, x plus 5. Does that make sense?
No.
No?
No.
So I'm showing you a distribution method. This is a different method. So multiply x times x plus 5 and 5 times x plus 5. And then after that, you're going to multiply x times 5. 5 times x, 5 times 5. So you're going to get x times x is what? X squared. X times 5 is 5x. And then the other one is going to be 5 times x. It's another 5x. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay? So that's one way of doing it. This is called distribution method. So you distribute x times everything and 5 times everything. Make sense? That's one method. Another one is FOIL, when you multiply the first, the outside, the inside, and the last. So the first, did you guys understand this? Who was asking? Let's see. So that's another method of distribution, when you have 2 terms and 2 terms. Even it works for many terms. Like if you have x plus 5 times x plus 3 plus b, for example. It's going to be like this. Okay, so this is one method. I can show you a table method, probably is going to be easier. Let me see. Is there somebody who needs, let me show you table method. Okay, so I'm going to show you a different method, how to multiply x plus 5, x plus 5. So I'm going to set up a little table. So we have x plus 5 here. And x plus 5 here, like this. So in one side you put 2 of those, and the other side you put 2 of those. And then you're going to do it like multiplication table. You're going to multiply x times x is what? X squared, right? And then x times 5 is what? 5x. You know how multiplication table works, right? So the next box here, down here, is going to be what? X times 5 is 5x. And 5 times 5 is 25. And then what you're doing next is you're combining all this, you're adding all this, and that's your answer.
That was much better.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So this is, you can do it like this. You can just set it like a table, and that way you have everything. You're not missing any, because when you multiply x plus 5x plus 5, you need to multiply each of those. Okay? Got it? Okay, so everybody good with FOIL? You can use the method you like, doesn't matter. Okay, any other questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay, going to number 6, the same way. You're going to solve this when you do the parentheses first. So here I'm going to multiply 6 times x, 6 times negative 9. Negative 4 times x, negative 4 times negative times 2. So I'm going to do that. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 9 is negative 54, right?
Correct.
Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 equals negative 1. Then I'm going to add the x and x first, and number with number. So 6x minus 4x is 2x. And I'm going to add negative 54, negative 8 is going to be negative, what, 62, right? And then from here we have all the x's are in the same side, so I need to add 62. And that
Yes.
cancels. So I get 2x equals 61. And then the last step is what? Divide by the number in front of x.
2.
Divide by 2. And what you get? X equals 61 divided by 2. Now, WEPA sign, when you put your answer, WEPA sign doesn't like decimal too much. Only if it says round to whatever decimal places, then you use decimal. And WEPA sign like fractions, so just leave it like that, 61 over 2. Okay? 61 divided over 2 is my answer. Now, what type of equation is this?
Conditional?
Conditional, good job. If you get x equals number, it's a conditional. Okay, any questions? Going to the next one.
I have a
The
question
next one, yes?
on the previous equation. So it says if the real numbers are solutions, enter reals, but you entered 6. So would it be correct to enter 61 divided by 2? Or if you enter reals, will both be correct? Or
No, real is not right. Real is if you get 0 equals 0, it's real.
oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So you get reals if it's identity. Okay? Okay.
Dr. Limborg,
So,
one question, I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes.
For one of the questions in the lab, it's for one of the restrictions on X. The answer that I came out to was 21 over 2. So how would I put that in for a restriction of X?
21 over 2.
Yes.
You just put 21 over 2.
Because I did that and then it told me that I got it wrong.
Okay, I think you solve it. That's why it's wrong. You don't solve it. For restrictions, you don't solve the equation.
Right. So, but with the restrictions, that's what I came out with.
No, you make mistakes somewhere.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
refigure it.
Yes, you need to double check that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we're going to number 7 and 8. These are fractions. So we have equations with fractions. These are linear equations. And in order to solve them, you can work with fractions if you like, or you can get rid of the fractions. Which one you want me to show you?
Get rid of the fractions.
Okay. So how are you going to get rid of the fractions? You're going to multiply by common denominator. You're going to see what is the denominator. You're going to see what you're going to multiply both sides by, and you're going to cancel the denominators. So always think about what I'm going to multiply both sides of this equation to cancel the 3 and the 27. $27, right? If I multiply by 27 both sides, you always 27 over 1. 27 is in the top. And 27 in the top and 27 in the bottom cancel out. So no more fraction in the left side. Now 27 and 3 you can divide by 3. So the 3 is gone. 27 divided by 3 is what? 9. See, no more fractions, nothing in the bottom. It's only 1 left. Okay? So when you do that, when you multiply by the denominator, everything cancel and just write down what is left with no fraction. So we have left with 4x plus 1 equals 1 times 9 is 9. So this is the equation left, and this is what you have to solve. So how you solve this? You're going to have x's already in the same side, so you have to move 1, subtract 1 in both sides. And you're going to get 4x equals 8. And then what you're doing next? Divide by
4.
4. That's right. Divide by the number in front of x. So what you get, x equals 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay? So that's my solution, x equals 2. Everybody understand that?
Yeah, is there a way to do it with the fraction just in case? Because I couldn't remember why, even though you're multiplying, why you're dividing 27 by 3, because I'm thinking that would be 3 times 27, like cross multiplication for some reason.
Okay, so let me explain that. Thank you for asking. So why you divided? Because multiplying, how you multiply fractions? You have 1/3 multiplied by 27 over 1, right?
Yeah.
How you multiply fraction? You multiply across. So that's 27 times 1 is 27. 3 times 1 is 3, right?
Yes, and then that's the actual.
And
Okay.
that's actually the division, yes.
Division. All right.
Yes. Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah.
So the type,
How-
of equation is a conditional, correct?
Yes, that's a conditional, yes. That's correct. Okay. Any other questions?
How did you get to a common denominator to get it to 27?
Okay, thank you for asking that. How you get the common denominator? Okay, so the common denominator is a number which is divisible by both of those. Okay, so you need to get a number which is going to cancel 27, which is going to cancel 3. So if one of the number is factor of the other one, you get the bigger number. And if they're different, you just multiply them. So for example, if I have like fraction with denominator 3 and denominator 2, what is going to be the common denominator for 2 and 3?
6.
Number 6.
6. That's right. You multiply those. So it's going to be multiplied by 6, multiplied by 6, and this is going to cancel, right? It's going to cancel the denominators. Okay? But if like 3 is divisible by 27 is divisible by 3, so that's why you get 27, which is going to cancel the 3 and cancel the 27 also. Okay? Got it?
I think
So
so.
let's look at the next. Yes? Sandra, you good?
Yes, I am good. Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to the next one, number 8. We're going to get the common denominator here. So what is the common denominator for denominators of 2 and x? So what you're going to multiply to cancel 2 and cancel x? Going to multiply by 2x. Right, that's right, 2x. Okay? Now, so multiplying by 2x. Now, here we're going to multiply 2x by the first fraction, 2x by the second fraction. So I'm going to rewrite it so you can see how everything goes. So I have 2x times 3 over x plus 2x times 1/2 equals 2x times 4 over x. Okay? So how you gonna, what's happened here? What cancel? So we're gonna cancel
X's.
the x's in the first fraction, x and x cancel. The second fraction, the 2 cancel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the x's in the last fraction, okay? So when you cancel those, what is left? The first fraction gave me 2 times 3. What is 2 times 3?
6.
6 plus, what is left in the second one? Just 1x, right?
Yeah.
Equals 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? And then that's what is left, so that's what you have to solve, and you're going to subtract 6 in both sides, and you're going to solve it. So you get x equals 8 minus 6 is 2. So that's the solution, x equals 2. Any questions? Okay, no questions. So the next one is we have a little word problems. And then after that, we have quadratic equations. Okay. So the next one, the next few questions, we're going to solve by reading them. Always you have to, when you have word problem, you have to read it many times so you understand it. And then after that, you're going to set up equation. And you're going to solve that equation. So all of these problems, you're going to set up equation. Okay, so let's start with number 9. Number 9, it says 5% of 50 liters is how many liters? Everybody know how to get percent of something, right? You change the percent to decimal, and then you multiply, right? So what is 5%? It's 0.05 multiplied by 50. What is that? What is it?
25.
That's it. Good job. Or let me write it. 0.5 times 50. What you get? 25?
Yes,
It should be 2.5, right?
Ah, there you go.
that's right. That's right.
Yes. So that's what you're going to put there, 2.5. Okay? So that's it. Just change the percent to decimal. You change percent to decimal when you divide by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the left and just multiply it. Okay? Next one is number 10. And in number 10, we have to solve it when you set up equation. And this is what you have. So part of a golf course is 72. If a golfer shoots rounds of 73, 70, and 75 in the tournament, what will she need to shoot on the final round to average par? Average, you know how to find average? Finding average is when you add all of the numbers and divide by how many numbers are there, okay? So let's say the final is X. So the final round, she shoot X. So we're going to set up equation. So we need to find the average of 73 plus 70 plus 75 and X, which is the final one. You're going to divide it by what? How many numbers are here?
3.
How many?
4.
How many? 4. How many okay, 4. How many rounds? There are 4 rounds.
13.
And it's gonna be the average par is 72. Okay, so that's how you set up your equation. Now, what type of equation is this? It's equation with fractions. How you solve it to get rid of the fractions,
Find the
right?
common denominator.
Yes, you multiply by 4, both sides, so cancel this, and multiply this by 4. And then you're gonna add 73 plus 70 plus 75. What is that? Let me show you how to use
218.
Okay, let me show you. There's a calculator online you can use. It's called Symbol App Calculator. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna show you. And oh, not this one. Sorry. Okay, so Symbol App Calculator looks like this, and it's really easy to use. I'm gonna use this. You can work with fractions. So you can put fractions here. You can do square. You can do any exponent. You can do square root, cube root, fourth root, anything you have. We're gonna do logarithms later on, okay? So there are a lot of things you can do. So I'm gonna use this calculator. And what I need to add, I need to add 73, 70, 75. 73 plus 70 plus 75. And it's gonna give me the answer. 218, right? That's what you can say, guys. 218. So we have 218 plus x equals, what is 72 times 4? 288, right? Yes?
Yes.
Correct.
And then you're going to subtract 218 in both sides. And you're going to get what is x. What is it? 70, right? And that's
Yes.
my answer. Any questions? Everybody good with this?
So far.
Yes.
So far. Going to the next one, number 11. Number 11, it says a natural hockey league rink is 115 feet longer than it's wide, right? If the perimeter is 570, we need to find the dimension. So we have the length and the width. I'm just going to draw a little picture. So let's say it's wide x, and the length is going to be x plus 115, right? Yes?
Correct.
Now, what is the formula for perimeter? How you find the perimeter? You add all the sides, right? So the perimeter of that ring, it's a rectangular, so it looks exactly like this. So if this is x, the other side is also x. If this is x plus 15, the other one is also x plus 115. So you're going to add all of those sides, right? So you add in x plus x is 2x. Plus, when you add two of those, x plus 115. That's going to be the perimeter, yes?
Yep.
And we know that the perimeter is 570. So you're technically going to solve this equals 570. And you're just going to solve this. This is your equation. This is what you need to solve. Okay? How you solve it? You're going to do the parentheses here. You're going to get the x's in one side, the numbers in the other side, and you're going to solve it. Okay? So any questions how we set up that equation? Okay, let's solve it then. So we're going to do the parentheses. So we have 2x plus 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 115 is what? 230, right? Equals 570. And then you're going to add 2x plus 2x, and you're going to subtract 230 also in both sides. So you're going to get 4x equals What is that? 340, right? Yes. And then you're going to divide both sides by 4. And what is that?
85.
Yeah, so you can do fraction. 340 divided by 4. You can just put it like that, like a fraction. So always when you get an answer as a fraction, you can put it like this, a fraction in the calculator, and the calculator is going to reduce your fraction. Okay, it's 85. Okay, got it? So we need to, so that's my x, right? X is 85. So what side is that? Is that the length or the width?
The width.
It's 85. That's right, it's 85. Now, what is the length?
85 plus 115.
Yes, good job. 85 plus 115. So what is that?
100.
Yep. Okay, everybody understand that?
Yes.
Any questions on this? Okay, going to the next one. The next one is number 12. So for number 12, we have a plane which fly 315 in still air. It can fly 190 miles downwind in the same amount of time. It can fly 125 miles upwind. We need to find the velocity of the wind. So here, the long way of solving this is when you solve, when you set up equation, and here using the formula, the distance is equal to the rate times the time. And you setting up equation and you solve it. If you want to watch the video, you can watch the video in WebAssign. They solve it step by step, setting up the equation. I'm going to show you just a shortcut here. And this is the shortcut. You ready? So, you're going to see how many miles downwind, how many miles upwind, and you're just going to subtract those numbers. And that's going to be the speed of the wind. 65. Everybody understand that? That's a shortcut. If you want to know the long way, you can watch the video. Okay? Everybody good with the shortcut?
I like it so far.
Okay. Going to the next one, number 13. We have this pretty window. They give you the dimension. They give me the area. 44.2 is the area. We need to find the height. Okay? So we have this base is 6 feet long. And it's the dimension, we have rectangle and semicircle. So if this is 6, the side down here is 6, this side is also 6, right? Yes? Now, how big is the radius of the circle, of the semicircle? How big is the radius? If this is diameter,
Half of the diameter.
what is the radius?
12
3.
feet.
So from here to here is
3
6.
feet.
3.
Okay, thank you. So from here, this is the center, to here is 3, right? Everybody understand why it's 3? It's half of it.
Yeah, it's half of the diameter.
Yes. So now, all of these blue lines are 3, right? So that means this is also 3, yes?
Correct.
So that means the height from the top of the window to the bottom is h. And what is from here to here? It's 3, right?
3 feet.
3 feet.
3. And what is from here to here?
6 feet.
No, we don't know. It's
So that would
this
be
is
X.
rectangular, this is not square. So this is going to be what?
X
X.
H
or
minus
H.
3. See, from the top to the bottom is h. And if this is 3, when you cut 3, it's going to be h minus 3. Yes?
Yes.
Everybody understand that? So
Yes.
now we have all the dimensions we need to find the area of this window. So the area of this window is going to be broken down to area of rectangle and area of semicircle, right? So the total area is 44.2. So the area is going to be the area of rectangle and the area of semicircle. So what is the area of rectangle? It's the length times width, right? Yes? And what is the area of circle?
Yes.
Area of circle is pi r squared. That's area of circle. And you're going to divide it by 2 because it's a semicircle. So these are the formulas for semicircle, the top part of the window, and area of rectangle, the bottom part of the window. Everybody understand the formulas?
Yes.
So now let's apply the formulas having the h and the numbers here. So the length times width, what is going to be the area of this rectangle? What is the length?
6.
36.
6. And what is the width?
H minus 3.
8
H
minus
minus
3.
3. That's right. That's right. So this is the area of the rectangle in the bottom of the window plus the area of semicircle. So what is the formula? Pi. What is the radius?
3.
3 over 2. So this is the area of the semicircle. Pi r squared over 2. And when you add those two parts of the window, you're going to get the area of the total window, right? 44.2. Everybody so far so good? And now when you solve, we set up the equation. When you solve it for h, you're going to find the height of the window. That's what you need to get, okay? So how are you going to solve this? You're going to distribute. You're going to multiply here 3 squared and you're going to move the number. This is number. Pi, it's a number. You're going to use it as a number. And here we have to round to the nearest whole number. Keep that in mind, okay? So we're going to multiply 6 times h is 6h. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. Plus, let's simplify this. What is this in the calculator? So we have, in the top we have pi, and I'm going to click at pi there. And then we have 3. I'm just going to put it exactly the way it is, 3 squared over 2. Just like that. Okay? And it's going to give me the answer. It's what you have, 14.137, so it's 14.14, right? I'm going to round to decimal. 14.14, yes? Everybody understand that?
Mhm.
So when you round 14.14, equals 44.2. And then you're going to add those two numbers, so technically you're going to do 14.14 minus 18. So let's see, what is that? Minus 18 is going to be negative 3.86. And this is what? 6h in front. And then from here, you're going to add 3.86 in both sides. And you're going to get 6h equals When I add those numbers, it's gonna be 6, 0, 48.606, right? Then you're gonna divide by 6. And because you're gonna round to the whole number, so pretty much you're gonna divide 48 divided by 6. What is that?
8.
Yeah. Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Any questions?
So the formulas
good?
are going to be on that formula sheet that you provided?
Yes. Everything I'm writing, I'm gonna save it and you're gonna have access to it. Okay? I'm recording it. I'm gonna save also the notes so you can have access to it. Okay? So far, so good?
We'll see.
Okay. The next one you're going is quadratic equation. You have x squared plus 3x equals 0. Now, this is quadratic equation. And the quadratic equation looks like this. So we have x squared, x and number equals 0. Now, when you have quadratic equation, there are 3 different ways to solve it. You can solve it by factoring. You can solve it by quadratic formula. That's what you have here. This is the quadratic formula. You can solve it by completing the square. And also you can solve it by square root property. Square root. Now, all these different methods are going to give you the same answer. Now, some of the methods work for specific equations. So, in general, the quadratic equation have number a in front of x squared, b in front of x, c is the number by itself, equals 0. Now, the factoring method is easy and fast to solve if c equals 0, which means there is no number. So if the equation have x squared and x only, factoring is the best way to do it, okay? The quadratic formula works always, and usually it's good when you have x squared, x and number. It's faster to do it with the formula. Completing the square, it's a long method, so if it says solve completing square, don't do that. Okay, I can show you how to do it. There's a video in WebAssign to see how the completing the square works. It's a long method. You don't have to do it that way. Okay, you can always use the formula. And the square root works when b is 0. So b is 0 means you have x squared equals number only. X squared and number only, you can take square root and you can solve it that way. So any questions? Everybody understand how to decide which method to use?
I think I need help.
Okay, so when you have quadratic equation which have x squared, x and number, usually, sometimes you don't have x, sometimes you don't have number, but the equation with x squared, it's always quadratic. So if you have only x squared and x, no c, no number by itself, you can use factoring, and I'll show you that method. When you have b0, that means you don't have x, you have only x squared and number. Square root property method works the best, and I'll show you that method. If you have x squared and x and number, use the quadratic formula. If it says use completing the square, don't use that method. It's a long way of doing it. So these are just different methods of solving quadratic equation. So let's go look at the equations and decide what you're going to use. So here we have, it says factoring, and that's the best way to do it. That's good method. And factoring works when c is 0. So when you have x squared and x, and I'll show you the method. The quadratic formula, this is the best way when you have x squared, x and number, that's the best way to do it. Okay? It says quadratic formula. Now, square root property, is when you have, this is when you have b is 0, when you don't have x. And I'll show you the method. Now, the next equations you have, they're fractions. This one, it says quadratic, so we're going to solve it. You're going to get quadratic. I'll show you that. The next one is completing the square. Don't do that. Use the formula. And I'll show you the formula. Okay? I'll show you the quadratic formula, and that's it. Okay? So don't use quadratic. Completing the square, it's a long method. So let's go ahead and start doing method by method. So the first one is factoring. So factoring method is opposite of FOIL, opposite of distributing. And this is how the method works. So x squared technically means you have x times x is x squared, right? Plus 3 times x, that's what I have, equals 0, right? So I have x times x plus 3 times x equals 0. Now, both of those terms, you have x and you have x. So what you're doing, you're going to factor out that x in front, and then in parentheses, you're going to put what is left. So what is left? X and plus 3 is left, right? So that's what you're going to put inside, x plus 3 equals 0. See, if I multiply this, if I multiply x times x, it's going to be x squared, right? X times 3, 3x. Got it? So it's opposite of distributing. It's factor out, pull out 1x. Make sense? And then when you factor it, you're going to solve x equals 0 and this equals 0. Because product is 0 equals 0 when one of those is 0. So you can have x equals 0, or you can have x plus 3 equals 0. If one of those is 0, when you multiply by any number, it's going to be a 0. So the first one is already solved. X equals 0 is one of the solutions. And when I subtract 3 in the other one, I'm going to get my second answer. X equals -3. Now, if you notice here, we get two answers. So always keep in mind, the linear equation, which have only x and numbers, have only one solution, x equals one number. The quadratic equation, which is x squared, with x squared, always have two answers. Okay? Now, if the equation is x cubed, it's going to have three solutions. Equation with exponent 5 is going to have 5 answers. So keep that in mind. Okay? So my answers here are my solutions for these equations, and it says enter your answer as a comma separate list is going to be 0, -3. It doesn't matter which one you're going to put first, you're going to list the answers only. Okay? Any questions? Everybody understand factoring?
Yes.
Everybody good? So just pull out x and solve it equals 0. Okay? Then the next method I'm going to show you is the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is just following the given formula. So you're going to get ABC, the numbers in front of x squared, the number in front of x, and the number by itself, and then follow this formula. I'm going to copy this formula so I can have it in that so I can see. Oops, sorry. Okay, I'm going to copy this formula, and I'm going to put it here, and you're going to use that formula. Okay, so this is your formula. So first I'm going to get what is A, B, and C. Can you tell me what is A, B, and C? Oh, sorry, it's moving.
A is 9x squared, B is 6x, and C is 8.
Okay, now keep in mind, A, B, and C are only numbers in front. So again, what is A?
A, 9. B
9.
is 6, and C is
Okay, B is the number in front of X. The number goes with the sign in front, so it's going to be -6. Okay, and what is C?
8.
Is it 8?
-8.
-8.
Always the sign in front, -8. That's right. So we have A is 9, B is -6, C is -8. And then what you're doing, you're going to plug it in into this formula. So just going to follow the formula. So the formula says negative, I'm going to put B, plus minus square root. Make sure always put parentheses. And everything over 2 times A. So I'm just following the formula and then I'm going to plug the numbers. So we have negative B. B is -6. And then B is again here. 4AC, so it's going to be 9 and -8. And then 2 times A. So plug it in. And then you're going to simplify. This is how you simplify. You can do square root in the calculator. So do the square root first. So I can just go to the square root and just put in the calculator and put square root. You can do it in your head actually, but -6. And then you put square minus 4, 9, -8, like that. Okay? Is that the way you have it? Negative, so just put everything in the square root. Okay? And then the answer is, make sure you put parentheses, is very important. The answer is 18. So the square root give me 18. So this is what I have so far. -6 is going to be +6. Plus or minus 18, the square root is 18. Okay? And then everything is over 2 times 9 is 18. Now, this plus and minus here are going to give me the two answers. So from here, we're going to split. You're going to do plus and you're going to do minus. When you do plus and when you do minus, you're going to get two answers. So the first solution is going to be when I do 6 plus 18 over 18. And when I do 6 minus 18 over 18. And you can do that in the calculator again. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click at fraction and I do 6 plus 18 over 18. Just enter it exactly like that. And the calculator is going to add it, reduce it, and you're going to get not the decimal, you're going to get the fraction because remember, weapon sign doesn't like decimal. 4 over 3. So my first answer is 4 over 3. And then the second answer is when I change plus to minus. And that's going to be negative, get the fraction 2 over 3. So that's how you do the formula. Any questions? And that's how you put it. So you're going to click here and you're going to do 4/3, comma, -2 over 3. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, so don't worry, you're going to practice this. Let me just show you all the methods. So the next method is completing the square. I'm sorry, no, completing the square. We're not doing that. Square root property. Now, the square root property is when you have x squared equal a number. That's the best way to do it. When b is 0, which means there is no x. Only x squared a number. So this is how you do those questions. We're gonna take square root, that the name says it, square root property. So we're gonna take square root, square root. So square root of x is x. Now what is square root of 81?
9.
9. Okay, we get x equals 9. Now, this is quadratic. You should have another equation, another solution, right? What is gonna be the other one? Can somebody guess? Which number, when you square, you're also going to get 81? What times what is also 81?
-9.
Good job, -9, because negative times negative is also positive 81. So always when you take square root, you just have to remember you need to get positive and negative. Always this negative. Okay, so that's it. 9 and -9. Or -9 and 9, doesn't matter. Okay? Any questions?
If you insult
Okay.
me twice, is it a compliment?
I'm sorry?
Never mind.
If I solve it twice?
Is it if you insult me twice, is it a compliment?
I guess so. Okay. Negative times negative, yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, that's right, yeah. Okay, the next one, we're going to number 17. And this equation looks like linear, but when you start solving it, you're going to get quadratic. So let's solve that equation. So how you solve it is fractions, so you're going to multiply, what is the denominator? What you're going to multiply both sides by? You're multiplying by x, right? So I'm going to multiply by x. When you multiply by x in the bottom and x cancel, and then here we're going to distribute x times x times -6. So when you multiply x times x is going to be x squared. X times -6 is -6x equals 16. Then you're going to subtract 16 in both sides, and you're going to get your quadratic. X squared minus 6x minus 16 equals 0. And you can solve this equation with the formula again. Get ABC and solve it, okay? So now I'm going to pause here. So here we're going to use the formula. We're going to get ABC from this equation. So we have A is the number in front of x squared. So we're going to get A is in front of x squared is invisible 1. So A is 1. B is going to be the number in front of x, which is -6. And C is the number by itself, which is -16. And you're going to follow the formula, -b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4a and c, and everything over 2 times a. So I'm going to plug the numbers. So b here, 4ac, a is 1, c is -16, and 2 times a. So plug the numbers, this is what you get. Then you're going to have negative and negative, it's +6. Plus or minus, you need to do the square root, and everything over 2. So the square root is, I can use symbol up again. So we're going to press square root, and then you have -6 squared. Make sure you put parentheses, squared, minus 4 times 1 times -16. And that's what you have here, right? -16, okay? And then the square root is going to give us 10. So everything in the square root is 10. And then from here, you're going to split. You're going to do plus, you're going to do minus. So you have to do 6 plus 10 over 2. And 6 minus 10 over 2. And this is like, you can add 6 plus 10 is 16 divided by 2 is 8. I can just do it without calculator. 6 minus 10 is -4. Divided by 2 is -2. So these are my two answers. We have -2 and 8. Okay, so that's how you do number 17. We multiply by x, and then you get quadratic, and then you solve it with the formula. The next one, the last one for this unit is number 18. And it says use completing the square, but you don't have to do that. You can use the formula, quadratic formula. Okay, how you do the formula? You're going to get ABC, and you're going to plug it in into the formula, and you're going to solve it. So A is 1, B is 12, and C is 11. And I'm going to write the formula again. The formula is negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC, everything over 2A. So this is the formula I'm going to follow. And when I use the formula, make sure you put parentheses first everywhere. Negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4A and C, everything over 2 times A. And then you're going to plug the numbers. Negative B is 12. And then B again. 4A and C and 2A. And then you're going to simplify. So you have negative 12. See, this is only one negative. That's why it's just negative 12. Plus or minus. Now we need to do square root of 12 squared. So I'm going to change that 12. And this is 11. Like that. And we're going to get 10. It's also 10. And then you're going to split it from here. You're going to do plus, you're going to do minus. So negative 12 plus 10 over plus only 10 over 2. And negative 12 minus 10 over 2. So here you have negative 2 over 2. It's going to be negative 1. That's my first answer. And then when I add those two, it's going to be negative 22 over 2 is negative 11. So these are my two answers. Negative 1 and negative 11. So that's conclude the lecture for today for week 1.